What did a crush do to make you lose interest immediately? Was on a picnic. He caught a fly with his hand. I must have looked impressed. So he followed it by throwing a shoe and hitting a nearby seagull. Weirdest f-king way to try to woo a girl. Edit. More details were requested. It did indeed require him taking off his shoe first. The seagull was not in flight but sitting and minding its own business when the shoe missile was thrown. However, it was hit as it attempted to fly away. I would describe his attitude following as smugly nonchalant. Pretended to date another guy just to see if I would get jealous. Then got angry when I wasn't. Edit my story since people have added theirs. Started hanging out with this girl towards the end of a spring semester in college. We fooled around a little but didn't get into anything serious. We kept talking over the summer and she started telling me about this guy she met at work. Got pretty specific even. I basically supported the relationship, friend-zoned myself, until she broke down and told me she was making it all up to see if I would get jealous. Yelled at me for a bit. I said bye. And only saw her once after that to get back something I let her borrow. Surprised she kept it. Definitely dodge one. It would have been a shitty relationship if I met her earlier. Girl told me she only finds black guys and Asians attractive. A lot of people mistaken me for being Asian. I'm Mexican. You'd be hot if you didn't dress like such a freak. Duly noted. She was a lesbian and I am a guy. So I couldn't be a lesbian. Not with that attitude. Started to tell me about how I shouldn't be depressed because she had real problems, then proceeded to tell me about all the guys she did it with. I've told this story before but he knocked out his teeth. Said he's the Antichrist and asked me to join his harem. I wish I were making that up. And that's why you're now BF3 gamer widow instead of BF3 gamer wife? It's really unattractive for men to ever show emotion. Sorry. But I'm not a robot. When she tells a joke, stare into her eyes and don't even smirk. Let her drown in awkwardness. We were making out and he burped into my mouth. Yep. That will do it. We were at dinner one night. The conversation wasn't flowing particularly smoothly. The bill came and I reached for it. He thanked me and said he'd get it next time. That he had left his wallet at home. When we hugged, his wallet fell out of his coat. I saw at least a $50 bill in there. He turned beet red. Quickly got into his car and sped off. This really happened. Edit. Since you asked. He was the one to ask me to dinner. It was the first date. No. I'm not being sexist. I don't mind paying. In fact, I like to treat a man. Comma, and when I say quickly got into his car, I mean bolted. Edit 2. I didn't lose interest because I had to pay. I lost interest because he literally dashed into his car and sped off after it happened. If only you guys could have seen it. Not really a crush. But a few weeks ago, I was at the dog park and a guy came up to flirt with me. I was mildly interested until he started telling this bizarre story about how he used to have a rabbit but got tired of it and threw it out into the backyard for his Rottweiler. Then he kept looking at me expectantly. As if I was supposed to join in with my own story of murdering a house pet. I just stood there blinking stupidly until he said, "So, you wanna ditch your dog and go see a movie with me?" Nah, I'm good. Introduced me to her son. She and I were both 14 and her son was about a year old at the time. Dude. At 14 I'd be stoked. If she has a kid, you know she'll have sex. I was talking to this girl and we had hung out a few times. Kissed a few times. So I was about to ask her out after work. I parked my car behind hers in the lot and I told her after work we should stay and chat. End of work comes along and I see her at our cars as I'm walking out. But there is another guy standing with her. Hugging her. Next thing I know, he is sucking her face and laying her down on the hood of my car. Ben you motherfucker. Oh well. I'm in a better relationship now. 1 year next month. Edit. Damn. This is getting really meta. No, the woman's name was not Erin. Being a flake. I was going to meet up with a girl at a bar one night. Drove all the way across the city, Los Angeles. So it's not a quick drive. When I got there and didn't see her, I called her. No answer. I texted her. No answer. I hung around for a little while until she finally texted me back telling me that she left. I did not try to see her again. Well, I didn't. She flaked some more and then I finally stopped. I was not a confident man. My freshman year of college. I had a huge crush on a guy in my intro programming class. We sat beside each other. And while I could complete the exercises easily, he was visibly struggling. So I offered to tutor him after hours. He got upset that a girl was better at computer stuff than him and dropped the class. I'm sure dropping the class made him better at computers. This is an interesting story because the guy double F'd up. He could have improved his computer skills and dated a girl in the process. It's tragic. Actually, it wasn't our first date, but our first date at a restaurant. He was intolerably rude to the waiter. The waiter never even did anything wrong. He was just treating the poor guy like a worthless slave. Left date at restaurant and never called him again. I feel like waiters have seen so many dates crash and burn. I still cringe when I think about embarrassing things dates have said or done. And the waiter is making eye contact with me like, what are you doing? Girl. Got asked out by a cute guy wearing a leather motorcycle jacket. Probably mid-20s. While I was waitressing. He was taking his dad out to lunch at the time. I thought, oh how nice. Tough and sensitive. He picked me up for coffee. Showed up with a Hannah Montana t-shirt. Spent the first 20 minutes talking about how he was homeschooled and loved that he still lived with his parents. And how hanging out with his mom was better than going to college. Damn, did I read that vibe wrong? Did he mention a race car bed and that his roommates just got him some sweet new rims for it? When I was in the 3rd grade, I had a huge crush on this guy named Robert. We went to Skateland for a school field trip. And I asked if I could buy him a soda. He said no. I was hurt. As any 8-year-old girl would be. But a half hour later, I saw he had bought this girl Ali a soda. I'm pretty sure I ran into the bathroom and cried. Anyways, I found my elementary school diary a few months ago and saw an entry I wrote from this night. All it said was, Robert loves Ali. He doesn't love me. I am heartbroken. Edit. The Skateland I'm talking about is in Omaha, Nebraska, for those who are asking. Also, I hadn't thought about this guy in years and I looked him up on Facebook and he's gross now. Looks like I dodged a bullet. : He got his hair cut kinda short and I discovered a huge, fleshy, hairy, pink mole. It was so gross. I was like 16 and I avoided him until his hair grew back. We're married now. She said the words, I just want to find a nice man so I don't have to work anymore. I abandoned ship so fast. Played games. Games as an acting hot cold. Instant turn off. They yes and then no. Dated this guy for a while and finally got meet his family stage. I was pretty excited. Soon as we went to his grandmother's he immediately acted rude and disrespectful to her and plopped down on the couch to drink beer with his equally disrespectful grandfather. Needless to say I left. That poor lady. When I saw him flirting with another girl the same way he had flirted with me, I find that most people only have one game that they run. It's kind of weird when you think about it. I remember watching my then fiancée pretty much reenact our first date. Except with another dude. 100% same mannerisms and even the same small talk. I attempted to join the conversation and she kept trying to send me away to get her another drink so she could keep talking to him alone. We were in another country and we'd met this guy earlier that same day. He had a girlfriend. A few weeks after we'd returned I found a stash of letters she'd written to him professing her undying love. And stating that she'd leave her entire life, including me, for a chance to be in his. Fuuuuakyouu la dii. He said he didn't like girls with big boobs. I have big boobs. I figured that was a sign he wasn't interested. He made out with another girl in front of me when he knew I liked him. That wilted my lady boner pretty fast. Kicked my cat and said I hate cats. Well, get the FCK out of my house then. Asked me to tutor him in calculus. Then at the tutoring time tried to fire up his online midterm to have me take the test for him instead of actually learning the material. Played hard to get and acted like I wasn't good enough for her. Then when I gave up she started flirting with me. Even going as far as to send me nude photos of her. Anyone acting that desperate after telling me I wasn't good enough is a big no in my book. Was asked out by a guy. Was interested, so we started making plans to go get dinner that night. I asked if he liked Thai food, he said no. But he really liked to try new things. We get to the restaurant and he doesn't order anything. Just sits and watches me push my food around my plate because now I feel way too uncomfortable to eat. Either. I went straight home after. I don't get it. We could have done literally a dozen other things to go out and get to know each other that wouldn't have ended in him proving himself to have either no will of his own or be some kind of martyr to my refined palate. Edit. Just to clarify. The issue was not that he didn't like Thai food. The issue was the awkward staring while he watched me eat. And the lack of nerve to suggest a different outing to begin with. My neighbor is a very nice and handsome man. He's the first man I found attractive since my big breakup. Well, a couple of days ago, I met his boyfriend. Honestly, they look very good together. He made fun of the way a deaf kid sounded when he was speaking. As someone whose siblings and my mom are hearing impaired, I just couldn't get over it. Edit. Fixed some of the grammar mistakes that various people have pointed out to me. Showed up rolling on Molly to our first official date. It was a Tuesday. Like a champ. Got approached at college by a very attractive guy who wanted my number. Not exactly a crush, but he was super hot. He started texting me later and spelled made one word correctly per text. No. No thanks. I can't help reading things out in my head. And when you talk and lick this, I just can't take you seriously. It sounds like baby talk in my head. I just replied to all of his texts civilly and he got tired of me not flirting and gave up. So back in middle school, I had a crush on this girl named Sarah. We talked a few times, nothing serious happened. Then one day, at recess, she went up to me and said, "Hey, can I tell you something?" So I said yeah, half expecting a compliment. She then replied, "You are ugly." Let's just say I didn't like her anymore. He laughed when a friend told him that a mutual friend of ours was in an abusive relationship. She came to work with a black eye. That made him laugh. As someone who has been in an abusive relationship, it wasn't very amusing. She was going to a party and I said, "You seem pretty and enthusiastic about going." She replied with, "Don't use big words. 9-year-olds are sensitive to that sort of thing." Well, in first grade we had a bring a rock to school day. It was for first grade science. We were gonna draw on the sidewalk using the rock SCR pings. Naturally I, being the best and brightest in my class of nose picking dirty faces, brought the best looking and sharpest rock I could find in my backyard. I made the mistake of showing the cutest and smartest girl she could tie her shoes, my awesome rock from the metal gods. She had brought this round pathetic rock. Anyways, when the time came to go outside for our little project, that devious cootie breeder told the teacher I had stolen her rock. Even brought out the fake tears. So despite my protests I got stuck with her pathetic excuse for a rock. And she got my highest percentage of all rocks rock. Bitches minus. Went out to dinner with friends and she was a bitch to the staff. Didn't even chip in on the tip because they don't work hard enough for my money. Try to use my interest in her as a way to convert me to her Pentecostal sect. Edit. Didn't expect the SI sect's jokes. Lol. Doesn't matter. started to like me back. She likes me? The FCK is wrong with her? Maybe I set my standards too low. Use come instead of come in a casual conversation. Edit. In text conversation. I'm thinking your crush wanted your relationship to beckon more than casual. She told me about her fantasy of wanting to kill her dad by cutting off his balls and watching him bleed to death. Well, it's not like it was your dad or anything. Replied most texts with OHH that's cool or some other combination of words that added nothing to the conversation. And I had common friends with her, so I knew she was interested. She got with a guy who was even a better match for her than I was. Edit. This was not sad. It felt good to be finally free from the crush. And to see her happy and not fighting with lousy boyfriends. Now I have a great girlfriend who I feel comfortable with but never had a crush on. I met a guy once. For clarification, I'm gay, and we got along really well. We had the same interests. Got along swimmingly. He was super hot. And I really thought that it was within the realm of possibility that it could actually go somewhere. Now, in the gay community it's pretty much standard that people are on dating sites apps. I went on one after having come home from hanging out with him and found a profile of his that had been created the day before. We'd already hung out several times at this point. That said something along the lines of looking to get gang FK'd by some big dicks tonight. Use me. Pound my ass until I scream. Need a few dicks in my ass. Needless to say, after seeing that I immediately lost all interest. She couldn't understand why so much drama always happened to her. Because it's obviously nothing she did. In the 6th grade I tied our shoelaces together to be cute and to have an excuse to be close to her. Eventually when she had to leave, we discovered I tied the knot too tight and she ended up chewing through one of the laces to get out. She looked so stupid doing it that I just stopped liking her. Edit. Change that to she edit too. Lol, I don't even know why I'm trying to defend my 6th grade idea romantic behavior. You guys are right. Your relationship with the class pet hamster would never have worked anyway. Breaking news headline. Overly attached schoolboy gets turned off when girl fixes a problem he created. We were discussing politics that NR wasn't even born in America. And with that, I bid you a fair adieu. She made fun of the mentally handicapped. That was retro dead of her. The only time I've ever instantly lost interest in a girl I had a crush on was when I overheard her talking about how she already had a boyfriend. And was wondering how she should tell her other boyfriend about it. Told me that I had no chance in the world and that I should stop trying. He was in my peer editing group in our writing class. And I realized he was an idiot. I found out she was intolerant of others. I mean, so am I. But I don't advertise it. I'm outwardly polite. But I secretly hate everyone. No soap hand wash in her bathroom. Edit. Typo. Close bracket. Edit 2. Just to be clear, this wasn't a one-time thing. At first I assumed she had just run out and didn't have a change to go to the shops. But no. There was never any soap in her bathroom. I'm a bit of a germaphobe, so this became a Seinfeld type issue for me. Something about a restraining order. I was being silly by asking random questions such as what is your favorite color? He responded with a complete straight face and said pink. Like Veganus. That was it for me. That's a movie quote from somewhere. The dude was probably just trying to be funny. And you shut him down. Colon. I can usually make people laugh with ease. One cute girl was very impressed. So impressed she started trying to make me laugh as well. She was not funny, and it was alarming how quickly she would try to reflect the qualities of the people she was hanging out with at the moment. I totally do that. I'm a personality sponge. It's weird. I'm aware of it but can't stop it. She came out as a lesbian. I wasn't interested in her anymore. But I was still interested. Bad nose breath. Seriously. Who has bad nose breath? And she was taller than me. Just breathing hardily down from her nose. Bad nose breath. The FCK. He said I don't read books. Ever. At all. Edit to add some context. It may have been I don't read anything. Ever. That he actually said. We were talking about learning just for the sake of learning. He thinks it's a waste of time to put effort into learning something you don't necessarily need to know. It was more than just not reading. It was his absolute lack of desire to learn, explore and grow that was a huge turn off. He is perfectly happy without knowing anything. I just can't understand or relate to that. I get that some people don't really enjoy reading. But if anyone tells me that reading is stupid or lame, I'm immediately over it. If someone simply doesn't read for pleasure, then I just kind of think we're probably not going to have a lot in common.